So, being that there are two very important things in having and growing a successful martial arts school, or could you give us two very important things? Can you give us your thoughts on number one, retention? Let's talk about retention. And I know people say it's good classes, good communication, but give us your insight on actual retention because it's not as easy as it sounds.
No, no. Well, and honestly, if you're looking at the top line numbers of a school, it's really just marketing, retention, and price point, right?
Right.
You can boil it down to that. You can make each one of those much more complicated and 20 different versions of each of those. But if you get enough new students in, you keep them long enough, and you charge them enough, you've got a formula for the top line number, not necessarily for net profit.
Right.
But I've looked at retention, and this goes back, God, I don't know, 40 some years with my own organization. But to give you a thought, I remember, I was in the EFC board of directors for years, and there were always the schools. I'll put myself in that category, but people like Steve LaValle, Ernie Reyes, were two of them. Later on down the line, Tim and Dave Kovar, but people who, like, we're kind of like famous for, they've got an exciting floor and they've got exciting classes and their curriculum is great and one thing or another. But I'm a numbers guy, I mean, uh, degree in economics, MBA, and I was always, looking at the numbers, and it dawned on me as I was looking at the numbers, the guys who were like well known and famous for, everybody wants to take their instructors and see how exciting their classes are, and I'm doing cool stuff, or Steve was doing cool stuff, weren't the ones with the best retention.
Right.
And in fact, sometimes they were, at the worst end of the scale.
Hmm.
So what the mythology was is it was all about charismatic classes and high energy, and people have fun, and they leave on a high, and I forget Steve's old aphorism, but they're, sweaty, smiling, and sore, or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Sweating, smiling, striving for more, or something
yeah,
like that.
which turned out to be completely unrelated to student retention.
Hmm.
What was directly related to student retention, and by the way, in that era with that group of people, it was Buzz Durkin, head
Right.
and shoulders above anybody.
Hmm.
But then there was Will Mayer, and then there was Keith Hafner.
Yeah. Will Mayer
And
was a ninjutsu guy, right?
Ninjutsu guy, he had the
Yeah.
weirdest curriculum I've ever seen, to tell you the truth. But underneath the numbers, which nobody else was looking at, because they're all looking at top line gross and one thing or another, and those guys were grossing pretty well.